the
since I
rules
did
by heart,
another live
but
stream,
even I don't take them that
and it's
seriously.
been so long since I've been basically here on YouTube. Most of the time, I've been a little bit separate on Twitch, for pretty obvious reasons. It's a little bit gamer platform for Dead by Daylight, since I play a lot that game. But that doesn't mean that I forgot
Time to
about my
scout.
fellow subscribers and basically in how's it called? Basically in my YouTube channel. But yeah, this is going to be a very detailed tutorial on how you can play TCG Genie's Invocation TCG on Genshin Impact. As you can see, let me see in
Hi.
the card game. Hey, how you doing? Here, doing a little tutorial. So basically, this is the new game mode that they basically added to Genshin Impact, besides like all the events and all that. But this is a permanent game mode that they added on Genshin. And probably most of you know about this game, and some of you find it, most of you, now that I think about it, find
I
this
am good,
game
you.
a little bit difficult. I'm very good, by the way. Um, but yeah, the problem here in the game is that it has like a little weird mechanic where you have to like roll some dice, and that way you can get like a specific type of dice depending on your characters that you have. I already reached max level, by the way, so that's why I'm doing actually a full tutorial. If you check out, I'm player level 10. Maxed out everything. I have all the cards except like the looking cards. I have all the characters unlocked, obviously, but I just need to buy basically the dynamic skins. That's all I need to do, but I'm already maxed out basically. So here's where it starts the thing. You need to roll some dice to get the dice of the elemental type of dice of your character. And for example, if it's cryo, you would get cryo. You need cryo elemental dice. If it's hydro, and it has a tutorial where it explains you like the basics. But the thing is, it doesn't explain you very well on how to do builds. So first, I wanna introduce what is a little bit of builds on elemental reactions. So what does elemental reactions do? When it's basically when you combine. For example, this is my first ever build that I did. It's called the elemental reaction Mona. If you check the deck, um, I have like electro battery team basically. So this team, what it does is that when I apply hydro and I infuse it with electro, basically officials attack elemental skill. What it will do basically is that it will create like a like a electro charge reaction that will deal piercing damage to the opponents. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into like a random challenge with one of the NPC players to do like a little bit more explain in detail. So I'm gonna set as my active deck. So let's go into becoming by the character. I'll just do a random one. I'll choose this one, not serious, because those are a little more hard to do.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just start the regular match basically. So there's a lot of type of builds that you can do. You can do from only like electro charge. You can do a melt team. You can do overcharge team. It depends on your playstyle how you do. I have figured out a couple decent builds. It's not going to work with very high skilled players like me, but for a start, it's pretty easy. First of all, the cards I'm not going to explain on it right now. It's going to be for in a little bit more in the update. But I just want to teach basically the basics of how to use your characters. The cards basically are going to be a buff that you will gain
Good.
while playing an
It is as the stars foretold.
and how's it called? It will be a buff that you will apply to your characters to deal more damage or to do quick plays. So, for example, my team is based on Electro and Hydro characters. So, these elemental dice that you see over here are the ones that are going to be valid for any character. So, if you see, I didn't got any Hydro or Electro characters. I mean, Electro dice. So you can just basically reroll them. This one I'll reroll this one too. So if you get, sometimes you won't be able to get lucky, and you will miss a lot of cards. And something that you can do basically is that you can sacrifice cards that you have on your hand, pressing triangle and switch any elemental dice to the type of your character. So you can use their skill attacks. So in this team, what I want to show is the basically battery charge. That's how I call it. My elemental reaction on Mona. If I use the Hydro, I'm going to basically apply the water status effect on Razor. And once I switch to Official, I'm going to use another elemental skill that, if I apply it correctly, I will be able to deal piercing damage not only to Razor but to Official and Chongyun. This is one a basic elemental reaction that you can deal. So let's just start by applying damage.
Shadows of fate!
Razor is going to attack me, obviously, because each time that you make a move, you'll end your turn, obviously, by switching characters or by attacking.
Keep back!
So, something very good about Mona is that if you use her elemental skill, it will give you the option to do a fast move. What it does, the fast move, is that you can switch to any character that you want, and you obviously have to pay your dice unless you have like a card over here in your deck that makes it so you don't sacrifice any dice to switch a character. But we'll explain that into another detail. So what I want to do is that I'm gonna switch to Official.
In the name of the Prinzessin!
And since I had the passive Mona, I can switch to Official without losing my turn. And here, as you can see, I didn't have enough Electro dice to do the elemental reaction. But what I can do instead is I can rather sacrifice 2 cards to get the elemental type. But in this case, I got lucky and I got this card that I'll explain in a little bit further about which cards you can use as the build. And if I play it, it will basically give me 2 elemental dice that can infuse with any type of character. And here's the first reaction that I want to show you about the battery, how I call it. Once I deal the elemental skill, it'll
By
deal
royal decree!
one extra damage plus 1 piercing for each character if you pay attention. So I deal 1 piercing damage to the Official and 1 piercing damage to the Chongyun. So that's basic elemental reaction. And since I have these 2 that spawn like these avatars, each one of them will attack 1 time per turn. depending on how many charges you have. You see this one only has one charge. You see it over here in the circle where I have my controller right now, and this one has 2 charges over here. So basically, once I end the round, it's going to do another piercing damage. And since my opponent ended the round, what I can do basically is just switch to this character, or I can switch to any other character to have like a setup of what you can do. For example, I noticed that I have this card right now. This card, another explanation. This card will allow me to gain like 1 energy for each character around the field, like these 2. But I'm not going to do it because they're not applied with any status effect, and it's not going to help me that much. So what I'm going to do is just switch back to Mona.
This is destiny.
But yeah, this is the basic elemental reaction that I like to deal most of the time. See, when water flies, and with the electro, you deal piercing damage to both of these while you're dealing damage to the main character, basically. And here you can just re-roll the dice on whoever you want. Sometimes you will be very unlucky like me over right now. I actually got very lucky. But like I said, you can still like use any of your cards and just switch back to the elemental type that you need. So over here, as you can see, I'm basically about to get rid of. They're basically going to get rid of one of my characters that I don't play well. But other thing is that with the cards, you can grab some cards that will give you like health. Some cards will give you buffs, like you use less elemental dice, and other ones will give you like heals. Another will give you like extra damage. It depends on which type of cards you use. So here, what I will do basically is, if I don't have any more elemental type of dice, I'll use this. This one over here is one of my favorites because it will heal me 2 instants health by just offering one dice. And what else? Well, I literally don't have anything useful right now in my deck. So
Shadows of fate!
Okay, here's where I have a little bit of advantage now because I can literally just switch to Sucrose and she will deal.
I can do it.
Another elemental reaction that I like about Wind or Anemo is that if you infuse it with any element over here, it will deal piercing damage to both of these characters too, and these 2 will have hydro damage applied to them. You'll see in a second what I mean. I'm gonna just sacrifice these cards, and you see that I didn't have any use for them basically. I'm gonna use them. And when I use her elemental skill, I literally just got rid
Stand clear!
one of the characters most
Take me
overpowered.
back my card. It's gone.
And they're going to attack me. So yeah, basically, if I keep continuing like this, overall, I probably will end up winning the match because I already got rid of one of their cards. I still have health in the rest of my cards. And the loop is basically going to continue like that. Let me just end my round and you'll see what I mean. And as you see, I just applied too much damage to them, so Unless they have like heals or anything like that, they're basically going to lose almost instantly. It just took me a few turns, by the way. It's not against a real player, I know, but this is like a little example that I can give about how you can play this match. Oh, I actually got very lucky in this pool. And basically, I'm basically almost done. I'm just going to do a mental reaction.
Animal test 6308.
Here, basically, I already have the win. Because I keep dealing piercing damage to all my opponents. But like
No
I said,
rest for the wicked.
The more higher your rank is, the more difficult opponents you'll have. So this is going to like be a little more difficult, the more higher your rank is and the more opponents you defeat, the more hard it can get. That's one of the things that I know for sure. Here I can use her elemental burst and it will infuse it with both of them. It is good, but the problem is that if I use it right now, I'm doomed to basically not win, but I'm not going to deal as much as damage. But the elemental burst, what it can do is that it will create like another avatar that will deal off-field damage each end of your turn. So I'm just going to use it so you can see what I'm talking about.
Animal hypostasis emulation.
The script. I lose a lot.
And as you see, I just finished 2 cards in less than 4 turns, basically. Obviously, each time that you end your round, it will count as a turn, basically. But yeah, in this instance, you can do since he already declared the end of his round, you can just like place any cards or buffs or whatever you need for the next round attack and all that. In my case, I cannot deal any more damage because I only have 2. It requires 3 elemental basic dice to do like an attack. So what I can do is just I'm gonna get later to introductions of the buffs of the cards and the debuffs, and which I recommend most. The first I'm going to explain is my setup for the battery elemental reaction moment. So I'm gonna just end the match quickly, so you know what I mean. So I know it's going to apply Hydro, so I'm just going to switch.
The threads of your fate lie in my hands.
And basically end the round. I know it's going to attack me official in the next round, but I basically already have the game win. There's some instance where some characters can have like a specific build where they can keep healing while dealing damage, but I'll go to those type of playstyles in like another stream. Okay, I got pretty unlucky there, but basically I can already attack with this. Here I can just do a normal attack and just end the game, or we can just do it the fancy way, doing an elemental reaction, which I'm definitely going to do. And here's another 2 instants plus piercing damage to other characters, and they still had it, the other 2 characters, but since they already lost them.
By royal decree.
Fräulein.
So that's how you can use just based on elemental reaction cards. I did got a little bit unlucky with my dice rolls, so I had to use my cards to like do the elemental reactions and all that. but I still managed to achieve victory, honestly, just by doing the elemental reaction. So now that I show you like the game playstyle of this build in specific, I'm gonna show you now the cards that you can use. I have a specific build for this one. I have like a strategy against players, good players and all, that you can apply in this game. Okay.
Card.
I'm sorry, Razor. I didn't mean to. I was just explaining. So now that I demonstrate a little bit of how you can do the playstyle of the elemental reactions, it's basically simple. Just apply one element, try to not get killed by the time you apply the element, and switch to other characters to cause elemental reactions. That one is basically piercing damage, is pretty useful, not gonna lie. The only downside about this is that you don't deal that much damage on field, but more like off field. So if some players actually bring like builds where they can do like massive damage in just a few turns, and it's where it can actually be a downside of it. But now that we end up with this, as you can see, I have a lot of kinds of builds. This is basically a heal build, where I can constantly heal my characters. This one is another elemental reaction, but instead of Sucrose and Mona, I have Shangling and the Oceanite. This is another elemental reaction where you can cause melt, overcharge, or superconduct. This one is obviously a freeze team. It's pretty OP against characters that bring for example, the ones that you have to constantly switch to other characters, like my elemental reaction Mona. So you can like freeze them in their turn, and they won't be able to attack while you just keep attacking all the time, basically. It has its downsides because you need to have like a lot of luck with your dice rolls. This is the most powerful build that I currently have, but it's a little more peaky and a little more hard to explain. So that would be like in a future update, once you get like the hold of how to do elemental reactions and play with your cards. So now let's go to the deck, the build. So for battery elemental reaction Mona, what you want to do is that you want to constantly keep switching characters without losing your turn, and have as much as elemental dice that you want. So here are all types of cards that you can get. I literally have all the cards already. These cards you can buy them on the shop while playing against NPCs, and obviously upgrade your rank and all that. But let's go with the simple solution. First of all, let's go with the heals. For the heals, I have this one that's basically a card of Mondstadt. So this card, what it does is that for one elemental dice, doesn't matter which one it is, I will regenerate 2 HP, 2 heals basically for one character. The only downside is that you cannot give your characters more than 1 food per round. And what I mean per round is like like once you get rid of your elemental dice, you have to like basically like as you see, when I hold square it said hold circle it said end round. So once you re-roll every dice and all that, you can eat another food for your characters, obviously. This is one of the very good foods that they exist on the game, because it only requires you one elemental dice. There are a few other cards that can give you the similar effect, but it will require you to like have more. Sorry, it will require you to have like more elemental dice spin, and it has like a little bit of downsides. These are like for quick plays where you want to like use like a burst of your characters, but you don't have enough health to like support one more attack. So these cards can come in handy very quickly. I'm gonna disconnect my phone because of the notifications. So this card basically is pretty useful. I recommend having it in your build. Elemental Reaction Mona. This one is basically the same, but it's going to be for free, basically. The only downside is that it's only 1 HP on your character, so if you get hit at the start of the match and you know that you're not going to lose your character very quickly, you can use this one at the start of the match, basically. Okay, now let's go with this type of food. This type of food is basically a buff for your attack. My bad. Okay, so this one basically what it does, it will give you like a 3 damage of elemental burst. It could come in handy as a last resort where you have like a tough opponent and you're back to back in the wall, but it's not much recommended. I actually had just to test it out in this build and it actually haven't helped me out. But instead of that, you can bring, I think it was, yeah, it's this one. This card over here is actually very powerful. It costs 1 elemental dice, and it will reduce 3 less damage that you can take in the next turn. So, for example, your character's on 3 HP, basically. You use this card, your opponents won't be able to deal any damage to you in that round, basically. Or they can deal like at least like 2 more damage, basically, if they have like a strong build. But if they already like buff their characters and all that, it's not much. It's not going to help that much because I've seen people deal literally in 1 elemental burst like almost 15 damage. And I said because I did that too one time. But this one for elemental reactions or piercing damage, it's very helpful. Or like you saw when I deal like 2 of damage or 3 of damage, this card can help a lot though. Or when you're at the start of the match too and you don't want to take that much damage, you can use this card and it will save you for in the future plays. So I'm actually equip that one. Okay, now let's go for this one. This one is for the avatars basically that you get on the field. Not your actual characters, but the avatars that attack. You can spend 2 dice of these, and in case you get like another opponent with those type of cards, or like they like to summon a lot of monsters and all that. You can use this card to get rid of it, but it will cost you 2 elemental dice. So this one basically you can use it at the start of the match, or you can use it at the end when you're in a tough situation. But this card can actually help a lot if you know how to use it correctly. This one, as you can say, this one will require 2 of your characters to already attack 2 different characters, so they can gain 1 energy. Once you switch to a character that already has 1 energy or doesn't have any energy, you can use this card, and the 2 characters that are on your off field, their energy will transfer to your current character, and you can use your elemental burst that way. But it comes to a downside that you already need to have played like a couple rounds for this, or attack in a few characters. But since this build lets you constantly move between characters, this will come in handy a lot. Believe me when I say it. So here's another card. This one is a little bit simple, but it can actually give you a disadvantage if you don't play it correctly. So this card, what it does is that when you attack, basically, when you attack with your character, it will switch to the next character. It will cost one elemental dice, but this one can come in handy for like, okay, my character is at 1 HP or 2 HP. I want it to last at least one more round, so like I can attack it as a last resort. Or you just don't want them to like deal elemental damage to you. You can use this card to use your attack and switch to another character. This one comes very in handy when you saw me use Sucrose. I use this card, I use Sucrose, and it will switch me back to Mona or to another character. And it can come very in handy. So I'm going to explain two cards at the same time. This one basically is Leave It to Me. What this card does is that when you switch to a character, it will be basically a fast move. Instead of like a regular move that you switch your character, okay, now it's a turn. So now your opponent can attack. This one for free, basically, you can switch to any character for free, basically, as a fast action, and you can attack with your obviously with the character you currently have. So this one is very good to do elemental reactions. But what I recommend is to pair with this one, changing shifts. So basically, if you pair these two, you will save 2 elemental dice, basically. Oh no, you're going to save 1 elemental dice, and you're going to save 1 move, basically. So you can have, you can save your dice for like playing another card. For example, like the ones that I show you, that you can heal, you can do elemental reactions and all that. So if you pair these two together, you can switch to any character that you want with the cost of 0 elemental dice, and that will help you in the future against opponents that you can create elemental reactions. And this is another personally favorite card of mine, and is Strategize. This one, for 1 elemental dice, you can draw 2 cards in case you didn't have any good cards that you cannot get any value of. For example, let me say, I spawned with this card at the start of the match, this one, and let's just say these cards that I don't need them. I'll explain them later what are these for. So if you don't have any cards that can actually help you, and you don't have elemental dice, and you just want to save it, this card will actually help you a lot. So, for example, I just spent this card, spend 1 elemental dice, and boom, I have these 2 cards already in my deck, in my hand, so I can play them in the future. And that's basically what it is. It helps you a lot. So now let's go to my personal favorite, and I 100% recommend you to have this one in any of your builds. And I mean it, any of your builds that you have to bring these 2 cards. This one is called the Bestest Traveler Companion. This will transform 2 of your elemental dice that you don't need to Omni Element. What's an Omni Element? Basically, is a dice that you can use for any character that you want. Just simplify it like that. So for example, you have for example, you saw my Mona had 3 had two elemental dice of hydro or water, however you want to call it, and my official had it only one elemental dice. So what I can do is I will use this card, the Paimon card, and it will help me to use the elemental skill of Mona to apply Hydro, and the elemental skill official to apply the Electro, and create the synergy of the battery, as you saw earlier in the match that I showed you. So, next to the other cards, as you can see, this one will come very handy if you want to use the Elemental Burst or you just didn't have any luck with dice. You can use this and it will help you 100% sure. This one, honestly, I'm going to be honest, this one will come in handy only if you have only one character that you constantly use all the time. So this one, it could come in handy if it's in a healer team, but it's not that powerful if you use it in a regular team. So this one, honestly, I'm going to get rid of it. It was another test that I was doing. So that one, I don't recommend it. And instead of that, I'm just going to place another card for... oh, this card is very good. I just remember. This one over here, J Chamber. In the roll phase, 2 of the starting elemental dice you roll are always guaranteed to match the elemental type of your active character. So basically, you roll and you didn't get any type of elemental dice that you have. The next roll that you do, you will guarantee the type of your character, the elemental type. So, for example, you need a hydro dice. It will guarantee you that type of dice. And most of the time, it will guarantee you not one or two. It will guarantee you 3 elemental dice of the hydro, basically. If it's the one your character have currently. So this is a card that you definitely will want to have in your build. Next to the other card, this card basically, each time that you end your round, what it will do, it will give you 1 energy for your characters. For example, you just attack, you just attack 2 times with Mona, and you see you need 1 more energy for, using her burst. No problem. Instead of attacking another time, we can use this card off field, and in the next round, you will definitely have that energy and use her ultimate, basically. But this type of plays, it requires you to have like a lot of elemental dice. So if you're not used to it, I don't recommend it to have it, just in case you have like enough dice to play it off, basically. Now this one, I will enter a little bit later in that one because it has to do with these cards. These cards are considered artifacts. There are three types of cards. The types of cards is the ones weapons, quick moves, and artifacts. Basically, that's how I will consider it. The weapons obviously will grant you like extra damage and all that. The artifacts, it depends on which type of artifacts you have. In my case scenario, I have artifacts that will constantly regenerate the health of my characters the more times I attack with them. It has specific conditions, each type of artifact, so make sure to not mess this up. This one actually I don't need anymore, so I'm just going to switch it for another heal. That's more better than that. You understand later. So now that I explain about these artifacts, this one will help basically on my, it will help me on my plays with artifacts. Like for example, you wanna place one artifact to each one of your characters, no problem. This one, it will come with tokens, and each round that it ends, it will regenerate one extra token. So what the cost of each token, what it will do basically, is that it's spawned with 2 tokens. That's how the card it costs. 2 elemental dice at the start. Once you use it, if you use it at the start of the match, it will help you a lot because, especially in this build that I have, since I receive a lot of damage, I want to constantly heal while dealing piercing damage. So if you pay attention, this artifact, what it will do, it will heal my characters for 2 HP for each time that I use their elemental skill attack. So each 2 rounds, basically, I kind of want to let them in, but I'll do it later. So basically what I'm going to do is that once I use this card, while the rounds pass by, you can equip these cards to your characters, and it will actually help you in the match for the future to win. But it's a little bit risky because if you don't have any more elemental dice like to attack and all that, you risk to get injured a lot. So it's a 50-50 play. What I recommend most is that if you have this card, you can play at the start of the match. But what I recommend is that you need to have, or rather, this card or these 2 over here, so you can switch to other characters to deal elemental reactions. So now let's go to this one. This is a personal favorite in this build or in any other build that you can have. This one, for the cost of 2 of the same type of elemental dice, what you can do is that each time that you switch to another character now, instead of considering it like a regular move, it will consider a fast move. But it will count only 1 time per round. So for example, I already attack with my Mona, for example. Instead of ending my turn once I okay, sorry. Let me just oh my god. I'm a step deliver for now. But yeah. So basically, I attack with Mona. They attack me, and when I switch to official, for example, if I switch to her, it will be considered an attack move, basically. So with this card, what we'll do is that instead of considering it an attack move, it will consider it a fast move. So like if you play the card, and that way you can attack with your other character or just like save your character if it's in low HP. So yeah, that's basically what it helps you in this build, and I'll recommend it a lot. It helps a lot. And especially if you pair this card with this one, Dawn Winery, what it will do is that you will spend 1 less elemental dice per round. So because if you switch to a character, it will cost you elemental dice. Obviously, it will cost you 1. But if you have these 2 together, basically you can switch to any character for free. But what I recommend is activate one first and then activate the other. So that way you can still attack a few more extra times while basically setting up your gameplay. But not gonna lie, you do need to be pretty lucky with this. You can stack up to 2 cards of each type, by the way. That's something that I forgot to say. So you can have like more chance of spawning them. By the way, I only need 1 of these cards. I don't need that much. I need that urgent. do is I'm gonna search for. Let me see. So in this build, I want to constantly heal, but also I want to like have elemental dice too. Oh yeah, this card is perfect for this. The reason I'm choosing this card right now is because it will allow me to draw another 2 cards after I deal 3 attack or the opponent deal 3 attack. But yeah, this card is basically for free. You can apply in your field, and it will actually help you a lot in some plays. Like this is for in the future rounds. The more you progress, the better you can it can help you basically. This one is one of my personal favorites for this build, but I currently seen another types of cards that can actually help me, and this is what it does. This is basically Paimon. Once in your turn, once you spend 3 elemental dice of the same type, for the next 2 rounds, it will give you 2 elemental dice that you can use for any type of character that you want. And basically, instead of having 8 elemental dice, you will have 10, basically. So that can help you for attack more times or to like activate another cards for these. But the only downside of this is that you won't be able to deal damage at the start of the match or when you're basically dealing damage. It's kind of hard to explain. But yeah, this card it has a lot of downside, but it can help you a lot like in the at the start of the match, like I can say. This can help you at the start of the match a lot. This one basically is a quick heal card, but for each round, basically. At the end of the round, your active character will heal for 2 HP. So basically, you have to gamble a little bit with this card, because if your character is low on health and your opponent can attack, you can risk to lose your character. So this one, I recommend it to pair it only if you have a character that can heal. For example, this one, once you use your elemental skill, they can heal. Or pair this card with a food. That way, it won't die, and you will have like an extra hit. Sorry, I'm starting to run out of my voice. So basically, that's the setup of all this build. And now for the final, this one that I just implemented into my deck. What it does is basically, wait, did I already tell it? Oh yeah, I already tell it. My bad, my bad. So yeah, basically that's the build for this team basically. And you can do other types of builds depending on the elemental reaction you want. For example, if you want to use your characters to buff another character, you can use for example Xingqiu and how's it called? Give me a second. It's called Xiangling. And switch it to another character so like they can deal a lot of damage as a buff basically. But it's a little bit more picky to explain that type of playstyle. But this is basically the most simple playstyle that you can have as a starter kit. So what you have to do is just use elemental skill. You have a water hydro applied. Use elemental skill on another character when you switch it, and you do piercing damage. That's basically how this build is. So once you once you understand like the little basics of this build, is where you can start creating your other own builds, your other decks. Obviously, you have to buy the cards in the shop. That technically you have to be careful with your decisions when, depending on which build you have. But this is basically the most common build that you're gonna have because it's not that expensive and you can get it early on in the game when you start trying to level up. So yeah, this is basically the most simple build that you can have as your team, especially because early on you will get Fischl and Sucrose for free basically. You obviously have Kaya and Diluc, but I will consider that if you play these two, you'll much guarantee have a very good start at the game, especially if you try to play online with other characters. So yeah, and by the way, if you want to get Mona's card and you haven't got her, it's pretty simple what you have to do. So with the current build that you have or whatever, what you can do is that once you obviously have your deck and all that, you can go to this board over here, go to my character, and you will have like the type of card, like an envelope, and you can invite him to get their card basically. So you can invite Mona and Friendly Face, and once you defeat her, you can get her type of card, obviously. So now for this type of thing, if you progress by defeating your opponents, it will give you rewards to actually invite your character. Like only the simple, once you reach level 2, I think, you have this card. This invitation letter, it's called. You can use it to call any other character, and once you defeat them, you'll guarantee their card. That's how basically you can get these character cards. But some of them, you won't be able to face them right away because you have to like level up your prestige level basically. But as long as you play with the NPCs, you'll get like the hold of it, and you'll understand like a little bit more their playstyle. Another thing, one last thing before I end the stream is that if you want to get monster cards, obviously you need to upgrade your prestige, but you have to defeat them in their rules basically. Each one of them. The card that you definitely want to get is this one for like advanced players, but that's while you progress little by little. So currently that's a simple build that you can use. It works a lot as a starter. And if you wanna buy any cards, you just go to the CAD, talk to him, go to the cards, and you just go to the support cards or the event cards. Here's where you can buy them. These cards over here are for a little bit. It has like a little bit more detail to explain, but that will be in another stream video basically. But that's basically the simple, not simple tutorial, but at least like a very good help when you start the game. And all of these cards have like different types of effects. I normally don't use most of them because it doesn't help in my playstyle, and they're a little complicated because it won't help you that much. but it depends on your playstyle. But my build is the build that I recommend you is mostly fitting for playstyles where you when you're starting basically. That's why I explain in detail each card and what you can do with it. And I'll later explain how you can use the weapon cards and the other support cards. Especially these ones over here that you can see. Because these ones, it requires you to have like it requires you to have like some statements. For example, just very quick example, this thing, this card, it requires you to have two types of the same character, two elemental type, like two geo basically. But for that, I will be another explanation and another thing. Now for I'm gonna show you on an actual battle how this game style will work against a real player, honestly. By the way, I might get very powerful opponents, but this is just like a demonstration of what you can do. Okay, here we go. I just hope I don't get a very high level player. Okay, this is one similar style to one of the cards that I have, but I'll explain it. I do have this build, but I'll explain it later how it works. So just give me a second while it loads, I have to do something. Okay, so now it's starting. So here I just noticed that my starter is not that good. But what I'm planning to do is this. I'm gonna get rid of this one and this card later. And this one you'll see why I'm saving it. I'm just waiting for my opponent to use their cards. I'm gonna choose obviously Mona, and you can once you play enough this game, you can predict which cards your opponent is going to use. Like I'm going to say right now, he's going to use Mona too.
This is destiny.
You see? So once you get like more used into the game and all that, the more you know how they play. Here, they got good reactions. Didn't got very good setup, but it's okay. So I'm just waiting for my opponent.
Let me scribe.
Use their thing, basically. So look, this playstyle is basically similar to mine. Since I know how to use it, I can counter it very easy. So first what I'm going to do is basically use this. Now she is forced to use it again if she wants to apply hydro status effect on one of my other characters. So now I'm going to use this one to gain another card. And I got pretty decent. Okay. Now I'm going to use that one on my character, honestly. And I'm gonna save the last elemental die to switch to another character.
Shadows of fate.
And you'll see that this will come in handy in my next turn, basically. Since I already know this type of playstyle, she's going to rather attack me again to apply the water status effect, or maybe they're going to switch to another character and deal damage to me. we're going to see where they will proceed. You see, I ran out of elemental dice early on, but it's because it's going to help me in the future. If they are smart and they know what I'm planning, what they're going to do is going to basically attack again, so I can switch to another character and then apply the hydrostatus effect. But we'll see where this goes. Yeah, they're planning to use another elemental attack against me. They just got rid of... You just got rid of 3 elemental attacks, basically. Okay, that's going to help us a lot in the next round. Okay, I see what they're planning to do. Here I'm just
The threads of your fate lie in my hands.
What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use this, but later on. I'm not going to use it right now. So they actually played it smart. Oh, that's huge. Okay, here I don't need electro. Actually, I do need it, but not hydro. I'm not use hydro later. Ooh, I got lucky with this one. They can attack me 3 times in this round.
Shadows of fate.
Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up before they start dealing massive damage to me. I don't want to show my card right now.
I summon thee!
So I'm gonna just do quick damage right now. They're going to switch right now to another power character and deal a lot of damage. You'll see in a second. See?
Let's light it up!
I call that, and I know why. So now what I'm planning to do is that I'm gonna play this card here, heal my character, and I'm gonna play this one to, since I cannot attack because I'm going to switch to another character, I might as well deal some off-field damage. Well, not off-field, like switch to another character to avoid getting killed. So what I'm planning to do is that... Yeah, think about it. Okay. I'm putting this one over here. And I'm gonna switch to this character.
I can do it.
That way they will attack my character and I'll use my other card in the next round. You'll see what I'm planning to do. They can attack me 2 more times, by the way, so, or they can use another options. What I can tell is that they're going to use a normal attack in Bennett, and they're going to use the elemental burst of Bennett to heal the other characters.
Out of the way!
Or they can do this. That was a pretty bad play by them, but it's okay because I still have my cards, and they don't have any more cards except for one. Ooh, this is going to help a lot. Here, I know what I'm going to do. So they have a very good start at me, not gonna lie, but now that I have my build currently in progress, I know what I'm going to do. You'll see later on what I'm planning to do. they're going to use the elemental burst on me, so I'm gonna prepare and use this. Elemental skill, obviously, that way I will deal electro damage to them.
Stand clear.
They're going to deal now 3 damage to my character, obviously, because they don't have any characters that can help them. But that's what I'm planning to do. You'll see why. And I'm planning to use this card in this round, by the way. Yeah, their playstyle is very similar to mine. He's going to use the elemental burst, obviously, spending 2 cards if they don't have pyro.
Teamwork is dreamwork.
Okay. Now it's time to do my turn. So I'm gonna use let me think about it. Yeah, I'm gonna use these 2 cards. Switch.
It is as the stars foretold.
Play this card. I'm gonna use the elemental skill.
Shadows of fate.
They're probably going to attack me normally.
Let's light it up.
Oh, they actually have damage. Okay, let me think about this. Okay, I know what I'm going to do. I'll just use the fast action.
In the name of the Princessin.
They cannot attack me anymore. I'm pretty quite in disadvantage right now because they already have the start of the game. But I think I can still manage to win this if I play correctly. Okay, that's unfortunate. I did not got the cards that I wanted, but it's okay. Right now I'm just trying to play as good as I can because currently I don't have like the very I didn't got the luck.
I summon thee. Let me scry.
Okay, she's going to use that elemental burst, and that's going to be a lot of damage. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can actually do. I'm gonna just risk it right now. Oh wait, I don't have any elemental dice right now. What can I do? Let me think about it. Oh, I know.
This is destiny.
Currently, I did not have very good luck, so I'm probably going to end up losing. This build is pretty quite powerful. Especially if you have the starting advantage. But my current build that I know that I have, it's actually going to...
Fate is upon you. My reckoning has come. I want to help.
Okay. The next damage that they're going to deal is going to be massive. Because I have to rest a moment. So I'm gonna use...
Test 6308.
Okay, basically I cannot attack with my characters. I'm definitely going to lose because I didn't got a very great start. It's okay. Electro. What I did here is that I just switched to another character because I know that I have to
Need to make
attack.
adjustments.
I'm just going to play this card over here. I already have a. I already know that I'm going to lose. At least I'm going to end this with a victory. Not with a victory, but at least not completely obliterated.
Out of the way! One shall descend once again.
Yeah, unfortunately, it didn't do very well with this build. But this is basically a starter build. That's more like to go against NPCs and all that. To an actual real players, it's quite hard. Especially with my current level. That's why I have a different type of setup that it's more powerful, obviously. If you've seen my other videos that I have a different type of build, and it's a lot more stronger than this. But for that, it's a little bit more complicated to talk about it. But for starters, this build is pretty decent, I would say. If you go against NPCs, you already saw that I ended the match in less than 4 rounds. Against NPCs, obviously. But for actual real players, if you're a low MMR, I don't know. I don't know why I say that. But if you're lower ranking, I can guarantee that you will definitely win a couple of games. But as you can see, I'm already player level 10. So basically, I get match up with my how's it called? With my same type of level players. But still, that was pretty decent, I would say. I deal a lot of damage, but unfortunately, I didn't have luck for my other cards that I have in my deck. But sometimes it is what it is. You lose sometimes, you win sometimes. But that's basically the starter tutorial for starting Genshin, TCG. Later in the next episode, I'm going to explain about the build that actually defeated me. It's called I call it just Pyro, basically. This is my Pyro team, and if you pay attention, it's basically the same type of cards as the ones I went against. The only difference is that I have like a little different types of cards. But I'll explain that later on in the next in the next time that I do another stream. This is a little bit more advanced type of cards, so this one I will explain it to basically, like I said, I'm going to explain it how this build works in another stream, basically. That's going to end up being another video on YouTube, but still. As you can see, I developed a lot of types of builds. I still haven't created a few more builds that I'm probably going to test out later. But for starters, the elemental reaction Mona, it's one of the best ones you can have for starters. It's easy to know and it's easy playstyle, and you don't have to like break your brain cells to do all this crap of elemental reactions and all that. So while you're playing, if you're a starter, I definitely recommend this. Honestly, this is one of the best, easiest builds that you can do. Later on, I'm going to in the next stream, I'm going to explain how to use the Pyro team, which is where you saw how I got obliterated, basically. This team is a little more. This is a little more stronger than the Elemental Reaction Mona, just for the fact that you can constantly keep melting. And this one has a lot of counterplays, such as you saw at the start of the match when I used Sucrose to avoid them getting a few hits. But it's still not as useful if basically they keep switching to the characters. So one of the playstyles that I like to do with this against like this one is to use like a freeze team or a healer team, basically. So I'm shielded and I heal, basically. But that's going to be another streaming video. Thank you all for watching, by the way. It's been nice to meet you, and it was fun though. Next time I'm going to, when I demonstrate this build of the Pyro team, I'm going to guarantee a win at least one time. Well, see y'all later, and thanks for watching my stream. See you next time.